going on YouTube? What's going on YouTube? As you guys can see, I'm kind of like switching up the format right now. So now I'm actually on my way to work right now. But you know, being that I already seen the Spider-Man movie twice, literally I seen it twice. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to wait until I get home to review this movie. You know, so now I said I already seen the movie twice, and spoiler alert. You know, so one thing that I like about the movie, well, first of all, like, honestly, like, I was just kind of thinking back to, like, all the Spider-Man movies that ever came out, and honestly, I would probably put this up there. This is definitely a top 5 Spider-Man movie. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, this is a top 5 Spider-Man movie. You feel me? So, one thing that I do like is, I do appreciate the fact that, like, they took and, you know, they kind of expanded on the storyline between, you know, Peter Parker, Ned, and Mary Jane. Now, I know y'all remember, like, the last Spider-Man, the one that came out back in 2021. What's that? No Way Home. And I kind of like the fact that, I know you remember, like, when Doctor Strange, he made the wish, but he made it as a way, like, you know, everybody will forget who Spider-Man was, even including, like, his, you know, his friends. So, with that being said, one thing that I like was, in this movie, like, they actually took and not only did they expand on it, but like I like how they didn't just automatically like MJ and Ned didn't just automatically know exactly who he was. You feel me? Like, he actually had to work his way up to that. You feel me? Another thing that I like, and I'm not gonna lie, like, this was actually like another. I'm actually glad that this wasn't spoiled for me. Like, when I first had went into the movie theater, because I heard this was actually a spoiler. Now, clearly, like, I already knew that you know, like, the Punisher and the Hulk was actually going to be in the movie. I mean, clearly from like the you know, from like the advertisements and everything, like the commercials and all that. Honestly, like, I kind of wish that they left that as a kind of like as a surprise. But I am kind of glad that I didn't know that Jean Grey was going to be in the movie. So Jean Grey, she was in a movie, and it's crazy because, like, my uncle, because I went to go see it, because I seen it twice. I seen it with my girl first, and then I seen it with my uncle. And the thing was, like, in the midst of me seeing the movie with them, like, my you know, my girl was actually telling me that she actually knew that Jean Grey was going to be in the movie, because apparently I think she was either on TikTok or, like, you know, somewhere on social media. You know, you got to stay off of social media, you know, especially if you got like a real big movie coming out or like a big event, because, you know, people, they'll definitely spoil it. But she was saying that, like, you know, she already had knew that they were actually gonna yo, what's good, bro? She already had knew that they were actually gonna you know, have Jean Grey in the movie. And then as I was watching it with my uncle, he actually said the same thing as well. You feel me? So I'm like, okay, cool. But I kind of like Jean Grey's role in the movie, because with her role, you know, because we already know her powers. You know, she could pretty much possession, like, you know, she could jump from body to body, like, you know. So in the movie, like, Spider-Man was the only character in which, like, Spider-Man was pretty much the only character that she wasn't able to possess. You know, so essentially she had wanted to get revenge for her sister, because this group by the name of, well, not even necessarily a group, it's more so like an organization by the name of Damage Control. They kind of wanted to take you know, they wanted to take her and study her. They wanted to take her sister and study her, because at the time where they abducted her sister, which by the name of her name was actually Sarah Gray. Her name was Sarah Gray. They wanted to, like, conduct an experiment on her just to see, like, exactly how she worked, because they were an organization that kind of, like, created weapons to kind of, like, you know, go up against, like, you know, like the superpowered beings, you know. Because even at the end of the movie, like, when you know, during, like, kind of like the climax of the movie, like, as Spider-Man was fighting, you know, Jean Grey, she kind of goes to Spider-Man, or Spider-Man goes to her, and she kind of tells him, like, it's amazing how, like, you do all of this stuff and you save all of these people's lives, but, like, these people, they still have, like, a weapon to pretty much be able to, like, you know, like, just in case, like, you know, if a superhero or, like, a supervillain was to, like, get out of line, like, they have a specific weapon to kind of, like, stabilize it, you know. So I found that interesting. I do like how they implemented the Punisher as well. The Punisher was and we already know, like, the Punisher, he's pretty much like a rated R type of character, you know, but I still like how they integrated him into the movie, you know, into like the Spider-Man universe, you know, because pretty much we already know they all share the same same universe, you know. But this is the first time we actually seen Spider-Man and, you know, the Punisher pretty much share the screen, you know. But I kind of like the dynamic between those two. Like, it was kind of like a back and forth. Low key, it came across as if like they were like, you know, big brother, little brother, you know. So what else? I like now pretty much with Spider-Man, Peter Parker. Like, I know you guys. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with like the Spider-Man cartoon from back in the day, the one that came out back in '94, like the early, you know, kind of like the early to mid '90s. There was an episode in which like he started to like actually like turn into a spider. You know, so he was slowly, like, his arachnid DNA was slowly like increasing. So pretty much he was turning into an actual spider. So he was even gaining, because, you know, he has like he don't like pretty much like he has like the organic, you know how he has like the organic web shooters, you know. It kind of got to a point where like his DNA was increasing so much to the point where like he was actually turning into like an actual spider. So like he started shooting organic webs, you know, and that's actually something that he didn't necessarily want to. He didn't want to turn into that, because the more his arachnid DNA increased, the more, I guess you could say, evil he became, you know. So he kind of wanted to, like, you know, stabilize that. So what he did was like he created a chip that would kind of like and on top of that, not only did he create a chip in order to like stabilize that DNA to kind of bring it back down to like, you know, where he was before, you know, but he made that chip like a universal chip. So this specific chip is actually like kind of like important to the movie, you know, because he actually ended up using that on Jean Grey, you know, towards like the, you know, the ending of the movie, you know. I do like how you know, they, even though Aunt May passed away, I like how they used her character as like, you know, like the words of encouragement that, you know, Aunt May typically gives to Peter, like because when it comes to Jean Grey, she kind of was feeling like she didn't really have anybody, you know, being that like her sister was abducted, you know. She felt like, you know, everybody was against her and everything. So and remember how I mentioned earlier in the review that Spider-Man was like the only body that she wasn't able to possess. Like, that was the only person that was able to like push her back out. Like, you know, the moment she even made an attempt to possess Spider-Man, like she would, you know, Peter would push her right back out. But at the end of the movie, once you know, Peter, you know, realizes that like, you know, Damage Control is actually not like a good organization, then he actually allowed her to like, you know, to possess him, to see exactly, you know, how he feels, like what his thoughts are and everything. And then there was actually like a point where you know, when he allowed her to go into, you know, pretty much possess him, you know, Aunt May came, and the same words of encouragement that, you know, Aunt May gives to Peter, those same words were kind of used or applied to Jean Grey, because, you know, Spider-Man, he wanted to show her that like she's not the only one that doesn't really have anyone, because clearly we already know that Spider-Man, you know, you got Uncle Ben, and then, you know, Aunt May, they both passed away. So Spider-Man, he felt like he alone. And then on top of that, especially being that, like, you know, with that wish, like now his friends don't even know who he is, you know. So I kind of like how they implemented that. And then when it comes to like the post-credit scene, the crazy thing about the post-credit scene, it wasn't even necessarily a scene. It was more so like so during the movie, like, you had Ned, you know, Peter's best friend, who actually created a Spidey tracker. So pretty much with the Spidey tracker, like it would pretty much like indicate whether, it kind of like signified like, okay, like whenever Spider-Man is nearby or like within like that general vicinity, like it would actually go like, oh, Spider-Man is nearby, you know. So essentially, like at the end of the movie, like post-credit, this is post-credit. So at the very end, like you had what's that? So you had that specific tracker that Ned created. It showed up and it says new Spider-Man detected, and it started out from Earth, but then it zoomed out from Earth, and then it went all the way. It kind of like panned out from Earth and went all the way to the middle of the It went all the way to the middle of the what's that? Middle of space, pretty much. And with that, like, I kind of like, I was just kind of like speculating a little bit, because I was saying to myself, I was like, well, I feel like the only, if somebody makes a Spider-Man tracker and, and I feel like the only other two characters that could really be like mistaken for Spider-Man would either be Venom or Carnage. Like, cause like really think about it, like and these are characters that kind of come from outer space, These are characters that come from outer space. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, those are probably like the only two characters that could be mistaken as Spider-Man, So maybe that could have been what it was, but I'm just speculating, I'm really just speculating. Honestly, like, I'm just really excited to see like what else they have. And clearly at the end of the credits, like, they also mentioned that like Spider-Man is going to return. So clearly we already know this is not the last Spider-Man. So we could expect like another Spider-Man within the next, like, I don't know, I guess like 2 to 3 years, But I did hear something about like Zendaya and Tom Holland. They're actually going to be taking a break away from acting, because I mean, think about it, like, they've been everywhere. Like this year alone, like, they've been in they was in the Odyssey together. Literally, they was in the Odyssey together. So Hollywood got them working. They've been in the Odyssey, and now Spider-Man. So I mean, it makes sense why they want to take a break. You feel me? But outside of that, like, I'm definitely looking forward to like this, the next Spider-Man that comes out. I don't know, maybe it could be within the next 2 to 3 years, but this is going to be a good one. But honestly, I would rate the movie a 10 out of 10. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to rate it a 10 out of 10. If I was giving my honest opinion, if I had to choose like my top 5 Spider-Man movies of all time, like, this would definitely go in there. But my number one Spider-Man movie is always going to be like the first Sam Raimi movie with Tobey Maguire, the first one, like, for nostalgic purposes. And then on top of that, like, I just love that movie. That's probably like that is my favorite movie of all time. So I would say the first Spider-Man one with Sam Raimi, and then I know Spider-Man 3 get a lot of flack. I know Spider-Man 2, they actually say Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi one, actually is like the most, they actually say that's the greatest superhero movie of all time. Now I just recently started going back to that, like, within the past couple of years, but I don't know, for some reason, like, Spider-Man 2 out of all of them didn't really have as much replay value. I don't know, I might get crucified in the comment section for saying that, but like, I don't know. But I like Spider-Man 2 also, but if I had to say, I would say Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi. I know Spider-Man 3 gets a lot of flack as well, because like they pretty much like, because how like they shoehorn Venom into like the that seemed to be a thing with like the Venom character, because even with like the Marvel Spider-Man 2 game for the PS5, like it seemed like with Venom, it's like they always shoehorn him in at the last minute. They never give him like a full like story. It's kind of like the studios or whatever. They always just want to like shoehorn bro in. But what's that? But I would say the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi one. The second Spider-Man. Well, no, not even the second Spider-Man. I'm bugging out. The first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi. Third Spider-Man, Sam Raimi. Then the first what's that? Then the first Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Then Spider-Man Homecoming, which is actually a movie that I just recently watched not too long ago. Like, I just recently watched the Tom Holland, because I wasn't a big fan of Tom Holland, but like I just decided, like, you know what, let me watch it, let me give it a chance. So I like the Spider-Man Homecoming, the one that came out in 2017, and then I also like this one. So I would put this in my top 5. I would definitely put this in my top 5. So aside from that, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more Spider-Man movies, and with that being said, everybody, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like what you've seen. Peace.